All right, welcome to the Snowflake Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dan. It is Thursday, November 19th, and it is 8:12 p.m., and I am joined by resident Raider fan and Knick fan, Chris
Hey,
Amato. How you doing,
hey.
Chris?
Oh, dude, I am glad to be back. A lot's happened since I was last on here. A lot of what I said probably sounds pretty stupid, I guess. I mean, I kind of anticipated them to be better than people thought. Like I wasn't someone who thought like, oh, this is a four-win team again. I think their offensive line alone, as people are seeing, are that to me that was such a significant strength for them that it's kind of masked a lot of early season problems. I think it allows a lot of the rookies that you're seeing to succeed now, like just kind of grow. While this O line kind of hides a lot of the team's major flaws at the start of the season. Like when they went to London to face the Bears, they were starting out. They had Trevor Davis and Keelan Doss out wide, starting 1 and 2, like crazy against what was then considered still from last season like the best defensive front seven, really most complete defense in the league probably as far as talent at every single position at every level of the field. And they went in there and beat them. And like after that, it feels like they can win any game because now that I've seen that and all of the twists and turns that those last quarter and a half of that game took, it's not a surprise to me to see them in this position after that win, especially.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Keelan Doss, Hard Knocks hero?
I think might have double-digit catches this year, but I don't think he does. He's like a healthy scratch every game.
He's like borderline 9 or 10.
Yeah, it might be like 8, honestly. I mean, there were some garbage time against the Packers game though, so maybe he had some then.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. So, like, I just think it's wild that Oakland went into London and beat the Bears. Being like
At the
an
time,
8 hour
yeah. I mean, the thing is,
flight.
they didn't even have Mitch yet, which I mean we know now wasn't like too big of an upgrade from Chase Daniel to begin with.
Yeah.
It turns out, but it's still like just the way they handled and shut down Khalil Mack. I mean, that's the thing that came out of that game, right? Khalil Mack didn't take questions after the game. And they went in there. He hasn't had a forced fumble since week 4, I believe. I don't think he had one against the Rams. I'm not sure if he got a sack on the Sunday night game, but only 5.5 sacks, and then now the Raiders have 2 guys now, with as many or more sacks than Khalil Mack has this year.
Ooh.
So the narrative, and you're seeing it all over the place. Like a lot of the outlets you look now are saying, like, hey, like let's rethink this trade from what happened last year. I think it's pretty crazy to just think that he's just going to be in this defensive playmaking slump forever. But like, maybe this is a guy you shouldn't be taking up, a sixth of your cap space for.
Yeah.
Maybe also, he's great, but maybe that it was a good move to kind of take that load off.
Yeah. And then, like, the pick you got was Josh Jacobs, who's pretty much offensive rookie of the year.
That was also Josh Jacobs' big breakout game. Like, he played well right from the start. He had 2 touchdowns in his debut against the Broncos, but, he really did all kinds of stuff in that game for the first time. Like, you really saw him take on more of a premier back role. A guy's catching stuff. Like, I mean, I guess you could count because it's probably, recorded somewhere. But there's been so many times where, Derek Carr's in a jam, all these bad, not necessarily a deep receiving core, let's say, as far as guys out wide. And then, they're not always able to get open. And then he always has Josh Jacobs right in the middle or on a curl route. Just running routes, taking pitches, all the stuff that you see guys like, Todd Gurley, especially when he was healthy, do, things that they make Alvin Kamara do. He's doing all of those kinds of things all the top backs in the league do. And that Bears game was the first time you saw him put all that together. He wasn't just a goal line bruiser guy. He wasn't just a guy in for, change of pace or anything like that. And I think, the rest of the team followed. Also, they just got healthier because after that, Gabe Jackson came back, who actually hasn't been playing as well as he normally has, but he's been getting, letting four guys pass him a game, letting multiple QB rushes and within a half in his last couple games. just things like that. But he is still better than, what a backup would be. And so the O-line started to get healthy, and, also the schedule just changed too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they have, I think, one of the four easiest, maybe five or three easiest schedules left in the league. So, initially I remember saying, like, who would make the wild card? I said Bills and Chargers.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously, especially the Chargers lost last night, like, it's tough to not pick the Raiders because there's so many things around them going on too that are favorable besides the steady play, the kind of able to just find ways to win, which is things that, they don't normally do, obviously, the last few years. And, they just do all the things that, like, a good team does. They pass every eye test, and, we'll see when they face the Chiefs or if they fall asleep on the East Coast of the Jets. But, I mean, it's almost hard to pick them to not make it in, whether it's even in the West.
Yeah. Well, you said this before, I think when you were on for the preseason, how hard their schedule was in the beginning. And they got through it, though. Like,
Yep.
they beat the Colts, like, they beat Chicago, like we said, and they lost some games, lost to Green Bay and, like, Kansas City and whatnot.
Yeah.
But now it's just, like, I feel like they're a more guaranteed, like, wild card spot than, like, the Bills or any other AFC team, just with their schedule looking forward. And just the way this team has looked, too.
Yeah, and even then, like, I think they exceeded expectations, but after that, the 2 at home, 5 on the road, they were still 3-4. So it's not like which is obviously better than, like, a worst case scenario that could have happened. You could have had one win. I think one win was, very, very foreseeable, especially with the way they lost that Vikings game in week 3, where they were just absolutely obliterated. And I mean, Mike Zimmer even saying after the game, like, yeah, we were able to just keep running the same plays over and over again.
Yeah.
Just kind of calling out, Paul Gunther and the rest of the defensive coaching staff. And, that at that time it seemed, compared to that, 3 wins is just huge because they had 3 straight on at home that they just won. I think they have, like, I don't know, maybe one of the top 2 home records in the league, maybe 4-1 after this last homestand. So,
Not
they have 2 more. They have 2 against Titans and Jags. So they have 2 more crucial, like, wild card conference tie-breaking games there. And the Chiefs game's obviously the biggest one, which they actually just flexed to national, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Solid. That'll be fun. That'll be interesting, too, because, right, so Josh Jacobs has 4 100-yard games this year, which I think is the most of a rookie, right, for the Raiders or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, offensive rookie of the year. You can maybe make a case for Kyler Murray, but, like, I feel like Josh Jacobs has just been more consistent and also just, like, more surprising in a sense. So, and it's really been their O-line, like you said. Like, they just create so many holes, and I feel like I haven't watched a game in a while for
and
the Raiders, but
protect. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like, that has been the most, visible of the issues that have caused them to slide from their 2016 form and have those those last 2 seasons kind of in the darkness. With behind 10 wins in 2 seasons after winning 12 in 1 season. And it was that, the O-line was just Carr. You just noticed and felt Carr just getting hit more. It was just happening all the time. And in fact, it got to the point last year where he was sacked more than anyone else in the league. And now it's back on the pace it was in 2016 when he was playing at a near MVP level. I mean, he was 2nd or 3rd MVP voting that year. And I think I'd expect him to get, and if he continues at this pace at least, he doesn't have a couple down games, they don't look like they did against the Bengals, against better teams. I mean, he should be getting top 5 votes, I think, because you have an entire roster of not really a whole lot, or at least are supposed to be complete parts, and still turning them into something ahead of schedule. So I kind of expected that level of play out of him. But also there's a Max Crosby who had 4 sacks last week, which I think also, but going back to the Khalil Mack trade, that's another guy who is all of a sudden providing that kind of pressure that you wanted from Khalil Mack or that you were missing from Khalil Mack. So you're already starting to make up that value with a guy who is a 4th-round pick.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely looking forward. And also, like, John Gruden, just, like, props to him for just, like, taking so much heat last year. And just, like, now he's, you know,
that's the thing is, like, honestly, I mean, I always gave him a lot more credit than other people did for, I think, his offensive vision and for just that kind of, I think, his philosophy and his ability to kind of, like, make offenses just kind of work out of nothing. Which I think is a one solid, like, genuine reputation to look at over the course of his resume. But we've up until now, we've never really seen him be a good talent scout. Like, a lot of his teams were composed of, like, veteran players who, you know, got the most out of him, got them to buy in, which was especially impressive in the first part of his career because he was so young. So, you know, when he was with Rich Gannon, he was, I don't know, maybe a few years older than Gannon, maybe the same age. I think he might have been younger than Rich Gannon was. And it's hard. And he showed the ability to get guys who are around his age to believe in him and to understand what he's trying to do. But with talent scouting, it hasn't really been, you haven't seen a whole lot of guys come from right out of college to being John Gruden guys who then go out and be, there are no, like, guys, like, Bucks and Raiders, his careers have been entirely built around veteran quarterbacks, veteran defenses, and veteran offensive weapons. And you can look at every single position, and that's been the case on his good teams. So I think because of that, I think a lot of people are also trying to give credit to Mike Mayock, too, which I'm sure he probably deserves. And you don't know how many times he might have steered Gruden in a direction that he might not have gone, that he might not have gone without Mayock telling him not to. So a lot of people talking about him as executive of the year, like that's the new chatter now, like on NFL networks, I think the news cycle.
Like a sleeper for executive.
Yeah, well, the thing is too, they're first in every single, like, category among offensive, like, rookie classes. I think also, I mean, if you count defensive stats too, I mean, they have 10 sacks from rookies.
Wow.
You have 6.5 from, 6.5 and 3.5 is the 10 from Max and Cleveland. And Cleveland was a guy who, up until a couple weeks ago, people were talking about as a fairly big bust because he was already deemed a reach at 4. And I felt that he was probably worth the pick. I watch college and I see that he's back-to-back conference defensive player of the year. And I watch a lot of ACC, so I kind of knew the kind of player he was. So I felt like he wasn't going to be this bad. I mean, it's very real chance that he is still a bust because he was fairly quiet this past game.
Also, like 3.5 sacks, nothing to go crazy for. And I don't know, I don't know how good Josh Allen is playing.
He's got like double-digit sacks. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's a player you could have got too.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm not gonna, exactly. Like, I'm not going to say already that it was settled, but I think what you can say is that Max Crosby is someone who might be closer along to being someone like a Josh Allen, and you got him in the 4th round instead of using a top 10 pick on him or a top 5 or 6 or 7 wherever Josh Allen was picked. So I kind of still see the class as a whole and try to put it in perspective too. So I don't know. To me, like, it's really, unless they fall off a cliff here, like, this is the best, rookie class, not only that I've seen out of them, obviously. I mean, they don't draft well. That's probably why they're in the situation they're in.
Yeah.
But really, out of any team in the league, I can't remember a more complete set of performances from a team's rookies all in one season like that. It's crazy. It's just there's a certain thing going on. And I don't know. It's cool to see. I just hope they don't overlook the Jets, which I think might be a bright side of what happened against the Bengals, which was, they came right up to him right at the start of the game, and Bengals just met him. It was just one of those things where you're kind of expecting a blowout. The Bengals all of a sudden are like marching down the field. They fumble it, and then the Raiders fumble it back. And there's like all this, all this stuff you shouldn't do when you're facing a bad team, right? Don't cause turnovers. Like,
Yeah.
don't give them any kind of breathing room.
Yeah.
And they did the thing that teams tend to do when they're facing a bad team. Like, everyone knew, like, oh, they're going to run it a lot because Bengals are the worst run defense. And once it should have been clear after the first couple series that wasn't going to work. Doesn't make sense because it should work, but it didn't work. But you don't want to have to abandon your game plan against the worst team in the league. So I think that it was only as close as it was because of that. I think they just took a little too long, maybe a quarter too long, to kind of change what they were doing. Because then all of a sudden you had guys going out wide, Tyrell and Darren Waller making 15, 20, 25-yard catches, Hunter Renfrow. So you saw the ability to adjust, which honestly Gruden himself hadn't really shown too much last year.
Yeah. Yeah, they look good. I mean, they got the win, which is really all that matters. But yeah, it was kind of weird to see them play that close.
Yeah, I've learned to not be picky with that. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm sure any fan would say that, but when you're a fan of a team that never strings it together, like, I'm fine with it 6-4. It's cool.
Yeah. All right, I think that's enough Raider talk for.
There's never enough.
Never enough. Just all Raiders.
Yeah. I think about so.
Yeah. But yeah, so Myles Garrett, he hit Mason Rudolph in the head and basically spurred a whole meme thing for like 3 days straight.
Yeah.
Or at least like Instagram or Facebook was just going down on Twitter. Then he was suspended for the year. I got like the Disney Plus, ESPN Plus like package with the Hulu. Dude. So Primetime is on, which is pretty great. Cool. That's fun.
Classic.
And Boomer was kind of going in on how, like, why didn't they suspend him for 16 games, which I thought was kind of crazy, because, like, you just suspend him indefinitely, right? And then you could go over it in the summer and be like, okay, maybe we'll suspend him, like, 4 games to start.
The whole thing. I mean, Boomer's not really known for, like, his cutting-edge analysis. He's kind of, he's a mascot at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
he
I love him.
Just makes noises. So.
Yeah. So, it was indefinitely. It wasn't even, they never actually said 6 games. I don't think.
No, they just said the season and the postseason. So it
said and then it said like indefinitely though.
Yeah.
Which indefinitely meaning like it's going to theoretically last, until something changes in the off season.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, like that's what should have been done. And I think, I'm kind of the mindset where like, obviously it's some psycho ass shit. To like be swinging your helmet at someone's bare skull or at anyone. But I think the thing that kind of limits it, at least as far as like the magnitude of the punishment potentially, is that Mason started the fight. Obviously, like everyone knows that.
Very true.
There's not anyone disputing that. Anyone can see that watches it, and so I think because of that, it's just like, hey, and he was coming at him too.
Yeah.
And with multiple teammates around him too. So, it wasn't like he was completely, I'm sure he didn't expect that to happen, but it wasn't like he was completely like just blindsided out of nowhere, just attacked with this like extremely hard helmet that could just kill you. It could have killed him. I mean, that's the reason why everyone talked about it so much too, is because, that shit hurts.
Yeah. I think what helped too was that, like, even though he hit him like right on, it didn't seem like he didn't like have a huge cut or just like was unconscious or something right after. He just kind of got up and was like, mad.
Well, another thing too is everyone knows that about, at least if you follow the Steelers or at all or anything like that, Mason Rudolph had that whole concussion earlier in the season. And I remember there was like this image, I don't know if you've seen it, where he was like being hauled off the field after it, and they like had the face mask off of his helmet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look it up. Mason Rudolph, no face mask. Dude, it's so fucking funny. But like, it was really embarrassing, right? Like, he was out of it, and I mean, that's what I thought of when I saw him get hit with the helmet. Was like, oh my god, this is the guy who's already been like completely destroyed just like a month ago.
Oh, I saw that. Oh,
Oh, you see it?
yeah.
Dude,
This is great.
it's so funny.
All right, yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucked up to laugh because it's like,
Yeah, no, for sure, but
yeah,
I don't know. The pig's great. Anyways, so people were trying to compare this as like the worst like event that's ever happened like after an NFL game, and I just like Albert Hainsworth stepped on someone's face, right? Or like he stepped at least on someone's calf, and then like
I think it was a face.
it
Yeah,
was a face another time, yeah. So it's just like I feel like that was much worse, like because that guy had to get like stitches, like 30 stitches, and he's gonna have that bruise for like ever or scar.
I mean, or anything from like I don't know, even like 40 years ago. You know, like maybe not 30, but definitely 40 years ago. Like I don't know, man. There was crazy fights all the time, man. I mean,
Yeah.
we were talking about the Raiders. Like, I mean, that's part of what they built their whole brand off of is doing shit like that.
Yeah.
Back then, at least. So, like, that was, so much more of a part of the sport. Not that it should ever have been a part of the sport. But, I mean, it was just kind of, I kind of felt like the coverage of it should have died down, like, once the suspension happened, because that's, like, kind of the end of, like, the story. It's like, that's it. That's all that's happening. But, like, ended up being, like, an all-day thing. And, I don't know, I was kind of, like, annoyed with it. Because it's like, all right, it's over with,
You couldn't really avoid it, either. You
Yeah.
couldn't go on, like, Twitter and be like, let me not see this.
Yeah, I felt trapped in this world where I had to talk and think about this,
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I think that what happened is what should have happened as far as the suspension and everything. And I think for the most part, it's probably everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Everything will be just fine.
Yeah. Also, what happened on Saturday was that Colin Kaepernick finally had his workout. He did it in Atlanta.
Very weird. Very weird.
Yeah, very weird.
The whole, like,
on a Saturday? Like,
I remember, like, I mean, hearing about, like, a week or two before that it was happening, and then, and then all of a sudden, like, a day or two before the day, like, last Thursday or last Friday, I kept like, every other hour was, like, a new thing. Like, oh, Hugh Jackson he's running the camp. He's going to run the practice. And then it's Hugh Jackson is not flying out there because the practice has moved. And then it's like, oh, the league is mad that the practice has moved. And then, the next thing you know, you just see footage of him at some random, like, high school looking field or college, like a D3 college field or something. Yeah. And just, throwing bombs, and, like, he looked great. Throwing them to, I think, like, Bryce Butler was, like, one of like the receivers he was throwing to. Yeah. And then he just comes right out and is just like, I've been denied for 3 years. I've been ready for 3 years, something like that, and doesn't take questions and then walks away. And it was just very, like, bizarre.
Yeah.
Because it was like, obviously, like, I know and agree with what he wants, but it's like, where is he going with this specific tactic, this stunt?
Yeah.
Like, where is he going with this? Like, I believe that he's, like, genuine about, like, his cause, obviously, but I think he's proved that. He's done a lot of stuff over these last couple of years for, like, not just giving money, but also hands-on, like, helping to feed people and give them shelter and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
But, like, I don't know how this is a part of that.
So because
it definitely doesn't seem like he's trying to play, right? Like, he didn't take questions. He limited his own access in a way by changing everything at the last second. So, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I felt like it was like just to have footage for a marketing campaign or something. Just
Nike,
like with AB with the Raiders, right? Like, just kind of like the whole thing just turns out to just be an elaborate publicity stunt.
Yeah. Well, I thought the whole workout was weird though, because it was on a Saturday. So, like, what GMs or what scouts are, like, coming when college football?
Right. I think that's part of what happened too. Was it actually was back?
I think he had to have been mad about that.
Yeah.
So, like this workout I felt like was just a huge publicity stunt for the NFL to be like, we care about Colin Kaepernick. And it's just like,
you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. You could also say, like, he had a genuine, he was like, okay, let's do this. Like, I'm going to play football again. And then, the league did what they did with the conditions of it. I think there was some issue with like a waiver. There's a tryout waiver that they give, and there was something maybe restrictive about that. Obviously, the day of the practice, Saturday. Not only that, but you have scouts that are generally trying to scout college games. They're trying to watch guys that they're going to draft. That's when all the games is on Saturday. So there's that aspect of it too. And so even if even if most teams already didn't want to have him regardless, now you have even less teams because, like, is this worth, dividing your scouting department and sending them to this guy for,
Yeah. I would like to see, I don't know, because a lot of teams now, they kind of just, like, go off these, like, rookie contracts and just, like, they play them right away with, like, a Daniel Jones or, I guess, just staying in New York, like the Sam Darnold kind of thing. I would like to see, like, one of these teams just, like, get Kaepernick as, like, a bridge gap for them or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
like, Jones is, like, I don't think Jones is ready at all. Maybe Darnold had a good game this week, but I mean, he played the goddamn Redskins.
The Jets were there were 7 teams. It was like Jets, Redskins, the Niners even looked.
I think the Bills were there too.
Maybe, yeah. There was a lot of... The thing is, though, it was mostly teams that... I think the Redskins... it was mostly teams that, like, I felt like weren't in the most dire need. I think that's the proper way to say it. Most dire need
of
a guy like him. Maybe the Niners, because, like, you never know. Garoppolo's been hurt before. I think the Titans were another one too, who are always in flux at the position.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think he kind of blew everything up with, like, the way this. Even though maybe he was justified in trying to, like, fuck with the NFL by moving the location and doing all that last second. But I think he must really have felt like something was malicious on their end, because there's no way anyone who was, because teams were somewhat interested, they sent people. There's no way that you would do that, like you would sign him at this point after that, because it's like, what else? What's next?
Yeah.
What's he going to do next? Like, if he's capable of that, and if he ever thinks that, like, he isn't trusting the people who are organizing with him, like, even if the NFL was, it's like, you know what, like, if you really went back in, just do the tryout real quick. Just do it, for, what is it, an hour? Like, I don't know how it works, to be honest. Like, I don't know for how long it goes, or if it's 45 minutes or what.
Yeah.
But, just do it, and then, maybe they'll sign you, and then you can be a voice, have a platform. Just get through that shit first. It's not like they weren't going to give him a waiver at all. It was just, and not the league should be doing that or treating him differently like they have been, but I don't know. I think it's definitely the last that you've seen of him. Maybe that is my hot take, is it's the last you'll see of Kaepernick in a football context, at least.
I heard that he might have been doing a, like, second workout at some point, which kind of seems dumb and maybe not even true.
Why would you go? If you're a team.
Yeah.
No, maybe it's at a more convenient time and place.
Yeah.
Maybe in the off season.
Yeah. Exactly.
But also the other thing is like, he's getting, like, older too. I mean, he looked good, and he definitely seems like he's still the same age. But, like, if it goes till next season, he'll be 33. So, ooh. Yeah. This is for a guy, like, his whole deal was, like, not that he had, like, this crazy, like, sniper arm, but, he was athletic and was making plays all over the place with his feet. So it's going to be a lot harder to be that kind of guy when you're, at that point, 4 years out of the league, 33 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Plus, I mean, just not being in the league for 3 years, I feel like you just miss a lot of things. Like, the timing's off, and, like, you're not going to read coverages as well.
I mean, you'd imagine. I don't know really if there's a precedent for that either for a quarterback. Yeah. Really. Besides, like, sometimes when a team has, like, there's a kooky situation where, like, a team has, like, their third string quarterback in, they had to sign an emergency QB, and it's actually, ironically, you've seen it a lot in this kind of Kaepernick era where, teams are digging up the bottom of the barrel to find backups just to avoid signing Kaepernick. Guys, I don't know if any of those guys have been 3 or 4 years, though. I know some of them have been, like, 2 years.
Yeah.
And, and they all look terrible, though. But also those are all guys who never had the level of success that Kaepernick did. So, I don't know, maybe for him it would take a game. Maybe it would take a couple quarters. I don't know.
I feel like it would take a while. I don't think he would just jump right into it.
Yeah, and also I don't think a team would really use him as a starter either. You'd use him as a guy who you're already kind of planning on replacing anyways. Whether it is kind of like a bridge to a younger quarterback or whether it's, you just need a guy. You just need a guy to be there for, you'd think the Bears might be somewhat interested in him.
Yeah.
Probably
Bears should be interested in anyone.
They're probably the most quarterback desperate team right now.
Yeah.
Because even with the Redskins, you can say, well, maybe Dwayne Haskins can be something.
Plus, they have Alex Smith.
You look at every other team, and a team like the Bears were people who I feel like should have been there that I don't think was.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The workout was weird. Like you said, it seems like he doesn't even want to take it seriously. And he must have just felt mistreated by the league and whatnot. But I guess going into, this week, or we're 3/4 of the way done? Week 12, I think, is coming up. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much, for MVP now, it's basically Lamar versus Russell Wilson. And maybe an outside Christian McCaffrey.
Derek Carr.
He's sneaky top 5 quarterback, though. I'll give him that.
Like I said, I think he'll get a vote. He'll get some for one of the placements. He'll get some.
Yeah. So if you had to pick between Lamar or Wilson, I guess who's your MVP?
I mean, you got to pick Lamar. I mean, the way he does everything, the way he does all of the most dynamic type of playmaking, whether it's deep accurate throws, obviously his speed, his ability to just, crisscross all around. He's able to spin move he did a couple weeks ago, which is become his signature play. And every MVP season needs a signature play. That's how MVP seasons work. And that spin move was it. And he's a guy who's had, in the last, counting college, really his last few seasons of football, seems to have some kind of crazy athletic feat at least once or twice a season that just you remember forever. When he cleared a Q safety or a Q's corner in the Carrier Dome when he was at Louisville. Just those kind of plays like that where he just leaves you stunned. And Russell Wilson does that too. I think he does that a lot more really with his arm. Even though he's very mobile, but doesn't have the kind of just really running back style finesse, or just kind of more of a wide, a explosive wide receiver type of finesse that Lamar Jackson has. So I just don't know if he's as much of a threat in that end, and also as far as what he's done and what he's capable of doing. So I think Lamar is probably it, because he's just there's no one like him, and I think and the stats show that too.
Yeah. I think it's really, like you said, no one like him, and it's just so unique, and just props up to John Harbaugh, or however you say his last name. Just Harbaugh, whatever. Anyways, because they built this offense completely around him, and they do all these option sweeps, and it's kind of refreshing to see, because it's not everyone's oh, we got this 11 personnel, and we're gonna spread it out or whatever. But I mean, looking at Wilson's stats right now, he has 23 touchdowns and 2 picks. That's just it's just outrageous.
To me though, he has those kind of some of the better passing stats, right? But they're not. The difference isn't drastic enough to counteract all of the other things that Lamar Jackson has done. Just the amount of just playmaking ability that he brings, and is able to just make defenses have to account for him alone. Which just takes it off of everybody else. I mean, he's going to have a 1,000-yard rushing season possibly. I mean, he's putting up running back numbers. It's something we haven't seen. He's doing it better than Mike Vick has ever done it, or RG3 in his rookie year, who's his teammate now.
Or was it that
I think Russ is just more of like, he'll drive the dimes, he'll do all the things, obviously you want a quarterback to do. But it's just Lamar's year. I honestly think Baltimore's going to win the Super Bowl probably.
Wow. Ooh. That's pretty hot. That's fuego.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's what people are thinking now. I mean, they're going to get a first.
I guess. I just feel like the Pats are still going to go like 14-2.
Maybe.
Possibly. Or they might go 15-1. And they still have, if you have to go through Foxborough.
There's a 14-2 team like almost every year, I feel like, though. So that's totally feasible. It's not crazy.
But I mean, Baltimore could also just win out. But Baltimore's got to play like San Francisco.
I mean, Baltimore's going to be like 12-4 probably.
Yeah. Or like 13-3 maybe. I think they probably have like one more loss in them. If they keep playing like this, they're going to be almost like impossible to beat.
I mean, I think it's just them and the Patriots are kind of like in this class of their own, and the rest of the AFC is just like, who knows?
Kind of garbage.
It could be anywhere. You could have Raiders, Colts division winners. You could have, Chiefs, Texans, like I think a lot of people expected probably.
Yeah.
You could have the Titans. There's just a number of scenarios. Whereas, up top, it's just, which is kind of how it's always been. It's always been the Patriots and someone else kind of ruling the conference.
Yeah.
And everyone else just kind of like scratches and claws.
Yeah.
It's just the Ravens' turn, I guess, whereas it used to be the Steelers' turn, or it used to be the Colts' turn, and so on.
Yeah.
That's probably how it'll go for all eternity.
Just keep going. Tom Brady's going to play for the next 10 years. All right, yeah, so let's transition to Carmelo Anthony, your boy, your man.
The 10-time All-Star, future Hall of Famer, the digital athlete himself. If you know what I'm talking about, look up Mellow Digital Athlete or something. It's just probably the douchiest thing he's ever said.
Probably.
But yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's was weird to me that no one wanted him. I mean, you'd think the level of kind of avoidance all these teams had for so long, it kind of, I don't know, it's almost like, wow, is he really like that unwilling to like change his style? Like, is that what's going on here? Is he just having a bunch of like bad conversations with these people and no one wants to sign him? So it's nice to finally see it happen, because I really think people did kind of overreact to him not being signed. I feel like he's having a very like normal late career kind of period going on, like just kind of like this is how it's supposed to be for a guy like him, to be honest. Like when you're in your
signed randomly with a team.
Well, no, I mean like where you go through a period where it's like, wow, like nobody wants to sign you. Like nobody, this is how guys retire. Like people forget most guys don't have like, just like a very formal ceremonial retirement, like announce their retirement. Like this is how it ends for most guys, besides the very best guys or guys that have just been like, staples of a franchise and have a lot of job security. I think you're seeing just kind of like how a normal late stage scorer in his late stage part of his career, how that normally looks. So I don't think it's like some anomaly that it took this long. But I'm excited. I mean, I've had the game on. It's actually so the Blazers decided to start him tonight. But I haven't been looking at the TV at all, so I have no idea how he's been doing. Probably not much. He might be, I mean, if he's starting, maybe he'll put.
I don't think Dame is playing though.
No, Dame is out. Yeah, that's why I think that's a big reason.
Yeah. So like he could put up, like I wouldn't say like 30, but like
I love the idea of a Melo and McCollum like little duo there.
Yeah.
Like it just would not work ever. Like besides maybe tonight, just because everyone's probably all like juiced up over all this.
I don't know. It could like alleviate some pressure from McCollum and Dame though.
It's the other thing. It's like, I mean, he was probably willing to go anywhere, I guess, but that was with the Blazers, who like, I mean, obviously they had one of their best seasons in years and years last year, probably almost in 20 years, as far as how far they advanced in the playoffs. But like this week, going into this game or this year, they're 5 wins. They're like 5-9.
Yeah,
and that's only one win more than what the team everyone wanted. A lot of people wanted to go back to, which was the Knicks. Than they have.
Yeah.
That was the rumblings, was that he would just go back there because like they're not going to be good anyways. You can give Melo his little farewell tour. He'll fuck around. He'll do his Melo shit. It'll be fun. which
Oh,
to
they'd
me
love
that's
it.
the most
MSU
like
go
to
wild.
me that's the least you can give me if you're going to be bad as a team. Just
Just sign
make me
Melo.
laugh or something.
Yeah.
Entertain me. That's what
Dude,
at least
they
Isaiah
beat
Thomas
they beat
did that.
Porzingis twice. So
Yeah.
they got him.
Yeah, they did get him. I mean, that did make me think they were going to go, win their next 50 games after that first time. But, they didn't.
Well, they
And they
beat
had
the
like a
Cavs,
breaker
right?
to the Hornets, too, I think. A
Oh,
couple.
yeah.
I honestly, I'm starting to just be like, you know what? I'm not watching the next game tonight. I'm going to do something else.
Rangers are on.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God. It's a no-brainer, even though they've been a little shaky, too.
Yeah.
But... yeah, I'm kind of watching. Melo's not even on the court. It's like the second quarter with 5 minutes left.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like he's probably not making an impact. So I feel like they'd be showing him a lot if he was.
Yeah, so I like how he's on a team and he's like in the NBA. I think it's just weird that the Blazers got him because like basically Zach Collins gets hurt for the year. They don't have Nurkic.
They got rid of Minu, right?
Yeah, they got rid of Minu. They got rid of Harkless,
Yeah.
who's like their two bigger wings that can
Very,
guard.
very weird that they did.
Yeah.
That they broke up a conference finalist core.
Yeah.
But the thing, I don't know, it might have been because of cap space, because I think after this year they're going to have like potentially $46 million in cap space or something.
Yeah.
So they can like go get somebody, even though they probably won't. But they might.
No, they definitely will not. I think Mo Harkless was more of the Clippers just gave him more money, and I assume that's what Aminu was too. Where it's just like they're offering him 10, and we can only give them like 5 or something.
Yeah.
But so like the thing is like Melo's not good at defense, and the Blazers' biggest hole is they don't have a defending like power forward, and it's like you just put Melo in there, you're not going to give him an opportunity
I think it's
to
just
win.
for some pop. Yeah, I don't know. Which is like I was just saying a few minutes ago. Like I like that mentality. It's like, you know what? Like maybe we just don't have it this year, and things aren't really like working out. So just like, what's the least bad option out there? Because you're not going to find anyone right now, especially at this point in the season, who's going to make you much better. And you're kind of in a position where it's still too early to tell if you're bad, but we're far along enough now to where it's like, okay. Feels like we know what your ceiling is, because they definitely don't look like they're going back to the conference finals.
No.
But they might still be a playoff team, even though they don't look like one right now. So I think that's the kind of move you make when, you're kind of in a wait and see mode, kind of a soft panic almost. Even though I don't think anyone expects Melo to just be anything resembling what he was, and maybe this has humbled him, maybe his mind has changed, but. I don't know. I think it's probably also a business move, just get attention. I think they honestly might have flexed this game to like the NBA TV like game, because I don't remember this being the scheduled game.
Probably
Pelicans,
not.
Blazers.
Yeah.
So it's, it generates attention for them. It gets tickets. So I think that's a part of it too.
I guess. And plus, like, at least when I was there too, like, right in like 2016, they were like, "Oh, like we should try to get Melo and stuff," and now he's like actually there.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting.
He's 35. Like,
yeah. Dude,
like
Team USA, let's go.
They showed like his picture on the graphic, like his little team photo, and he just looks just dead in his eyes. Like maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that means he's been humbled, but. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be like a kind of a forgotten kind of thing, like it was fun. It's fun. He got to sort of go out on his terms, which is what I was hoping for him. But, and I think it also will renew the conversation. If he, maybe he has a little bit of something. Maybe he puts up 15, 17 a game and is like a solid, relatively healthy guy for the rest of the season. That'll start to flare up, Hall of Fame conversations, even though maybe he doesn't need that. Maybe because of his stats alone, his place on the all-time scoring charts, maybe that alone will get him in his 10 All-Star games.
I think he will.
Runner-up MVP finish.
He has a good footprint in the league.
And I mean, you can't really talk about that era of the NBA without bringing him up. He was, a guy who, you look at all the people scoring, and he's always one of the guys that's right up there. Like, that's just how it worked. So I hope maybe it'll expedite his pay. That's the most I would realistically expect out of what he's going to do with the Blazers is have enough of an impact, be a guy who seems like he's accepting a role as, a mid-30s forward, who isn't really going to jump. He never had a super athletic game to begin with, but he really can't be like that physical force that I think separated him from other scorers. He was a guy who'd get in his best seasons would get 8 rebounds a game. He was getting more rebounds than a lot of centers were getting. And that's from a guy who's also giving you 26 to 28 points a game. So he does have a style, at least if he's not being reckless, that is friendly to an aging body. As far as, not having to it's not like a Russell Westbrook where he's always relied on flying around, being quick, like a D Wade had to be, that kind of thing. So if he accepts his role, there's no reason not to think he couldn't be like a solid rebounder and a guy who will be a shooting threat. That's all you can ask for out of it at this point.
Yeah. I forget what I was going to say, but
I stunned you.
Yeah, you stunned me. He's just so good.
I can't believe it. It's like, I can't believe I'm talking to him.
I don't know. So I just hope he kind of makes it through the whole year, because I just thought the whole thing with the Hawks was weird.
It'd be almost poetic, dude, if he was injured and he just couldn't come back. It'd just be like, wow, that's just it's the universe telling you, man, it's over.
Yeah.
It's like it'd be almost peaceful, It'd just be like, yeah, man,
yeah. Well, it was so funny, last year when they went to LeBron and Chris Paul and Melo went to Wade's last game. And when, he came out and faked a shot. And
I remember that.
Nuts. Yeah. That was awesome.
I remember he showed up at the Knicks game too.
Oh, nice.
Last season, end of last season, which I think is part of the rumors. He might have a little farewell tour there. It got a standing ovation there. So I don't know. It's cool that he's. It's one of those things where it's once a guy's gone, everyone forgets that all they ever did was talk shit about him.
Yeah.
I think the only guy we're gonna happen is with A-Rod. I feel like people will never forget that they hated him, but with Melo, all of a sudden it's people are happy to see him. People are excited that he's back, and it was not really the mentality people had about him even 2 or 3 years ago. So, but it's nice to see the turnaround, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of the Knicks, though, so I don't really watch Knicks games, but I've watched the 2 10-minute highlights of House of Highlights for the Mavs games. And just one thing that I kind of saw a bright spot was the Dennis Smith Jr., Mitchell Robinson pick and rolls.
Oh yeah,
those seemed really good for a weird reason. Because
Dennis, so this was viewed as the Dennis Smith game, right? Besides the whole Kristaps angle, there was a expectation going into the game among people who talk and write about this. That hey, maybe Dennis Smith will he has these games once in a while where he pops off. Maybe this will be it. So I think that's kind of what that was, especially since we've had a couple games since then. And I think he's a guy who's been steadily I don't know, not always improving, but just he's not embarrassing you. He's a guy who's represents something that they don't have much of and never really have much of, which is somewhat of a quick point guard type of player.
A good point guard.
Yeah, anyone was remotely competent as a point guard, even, let alone being quick.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he still doesn't. They just get obliterated by opposing point guards. So he's not a guy that'll lock down an opposing point guard either. But that was nice to see. But it's just you want to have to win those games too. You want to have also win. The weeknight game against the Cavs. You want to win the games where no one's watching, because that's where most of them are, especially when you're expected to be this bad and you have been this bad. So, those are the kinds of games that need to happen a lot more often. And, I just don't know if they're deep enough of a roster to make up for the fact that they're just that inconsistent.
Yeah. We're talking about Bobby Portis. Man, he's awesome.
He's
don't talk yourself into Bobby Portis. Come on, man.
Well, he had a few games where it's he can shoot, I guess. That's cool. And then he just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
But then he had that huge game against the, I think it was their first win of the season, maybe? Or their second win. And he just absolutely, I think it was the Bulls. It was a home game against the Bulls. and he just dominated like that fourth quarter. I think he might have had like 20 points, you know.
Wow, so cool.
But that's like, you know,
Against
it's like
the
we were talking
Bulls.
about against the Bulls.
Yeah. Well, wait, that's his old team. So I guess
Yeah,
that's cool for
that's
him.
really what it was about. Exactly, dude. It's all this stuff where it's just like these guys just rise to the occasion when it's like their old team, and then it's just
Yeah.
where is it? You know, it's just like
Yeah.
you know, I see guys do a little bit of this here and there, and you know, until I see them put it together, like I can't help but feel just absolutely miserable about where they're headed and what they're doing this year. Like this sucks. You know, it's this isn't what was supposed to happen. So it's hard for me to be optimistic about any of them.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's just hard being a Knicks fan
Mm-hmm.
just with what they did with signings. Like, why did they just?
I'm telling you, like I don't
Yeah, just
watch them.
ignore it.
I'm not really, you know, like man, if I really have nothing to do, and it's like, you know, unless they rip off a couple wins, I'll be like, all right, I'll pay a little bit of attention here.
Well, there's always the Christmas game. They gotta have a Christmas game.
They don't have the Christmas game.
Ooh, finally! Goddamn.
I mean, they didn't last year either. I mean, it's just whenever they're remotely.
Didn't they play? They played the Bucks, didn't they? Or was that 2 years ago?
I think it was 2.
Ah, okay.
They had Kristaps still, I think.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And they still lost, I think.
I swear they always get the noon game though.
Oh
like
yeah,
in
that's
MSG.
absolutely. Oh yeah, I love that's. I mean, back in the day, that was the case too. Like back in the '90s and stuff, when they'd always be playing like Michael Jordan or the Pacers, you know, and got the presents, got the stockings. The Knicks are coming on.
I got my candy.
Yes,
I'm all good now.
You know, it's just a part of the day. It's a part of the whole deal. You know, so that's another thing that sucks about them being bad is that I don't even get that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Oh well. All right, I think we're rounding off the pod, and we've been doing this thing called the Hot Take of the Week.
Wow, dude, what a fucking crazy name for that. That
I know, right? So crazy.
Wow,
it's so
the
different.
Hot Take of the Week.
It's fuego, man.
You gotta get a sponsor or something, dude.
Anyways, what's your unconventional take?
So after watching the Monday night game, the Chargers Chiefs game, that, you know, as a Raiders fan, you wanted the Chargers to win, to vault the Raiders in the first. Didn't happen. But what I did learn is that I think the Chargers should move they should move to Mexico City.
Right?
Which is, I mean, they honestly got like good, just good noise coming out of the crowd. Like it's just very basic stuff you don't really think about, but when it comes to the Chargers and the way that their home games have been for these last couple of years since they returned to LA after being away for over 50 years, is that, you know, no one cares. There's always the other team's fans there. So going to Mexico City, and I think, you know, they were also cheering for kind of everybody, but like they were genuine. There were people with Chargers jerseys on in the crowd. It wasn't hard to find them for, you know, people running the whole show. So I think, I don't know. They've been talking about London. I mean, I feel like Mexico City is definitely something that should happen. The Chargers should be there.
Yeah, it makes more sense for Mexico City just because it's, you know, in the same hemisphere.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's still like way further away than people think. Like people think, oh, it's in Mexico, it's right over the border, but it's like deep in Mexico. Like it's
right, but the flight itself is not that far.
No.
From wherever you're coming from.
No, it's
which
really
is
not
really
bad.
what matters.
That's the thing, and it's also I don't know if they're like central. I think they're central time zone though. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
But that's fine because the Chiefs are too, and they've been in the West for, you know, the whole entire existence. So I mean, it'd be cool too, like Vegas, Mexico City, Denver, KC. You know, you get like it'd be like a bunch of really like weird cities, but a bunch of cool cities that like have in a division. I don't know. I really don't see a downside to that at all. Like someone would have to really like, that'd have to be something I don't know about the logistics of that would, you know, ever make me think that that's like a bad idea.
Yeah. You were probably following the stories, right, with how they were possibly going to move to London, and then they were just like, oh, no, we don't want to do
I'm like, well, you know, that's one of those things where, you know, you see a rumor and it's like, oh, like, rumors come from somewhere, you know, and this is something that's like definitely was talked about at some point. No matter what, like Dean Spano says about it, you know, he had this sweary press release, you know, just trying to sound all pissed off, acting all indignant that anyone would put this rumor out there, but it had to be true, at least that they were talking about it.
Yeah. But like, so what came out though, or I don't know how true or accurate this is that the Rams kind of like made up the story about them,
Oh,
or at least that's what the Chargers said. The whole
Why
thing
would
is just
they
like
do
a
that,
complete
though?
mess.
Like,
But I don't like if you're in that Chargers organization, why do you want to play in LA? Like you have no fans there. Like every game is a road game.
No, they don't. That's why I'm sure like this is a real thing. But I'm saying like the whole like I heard the whole Rams rumor or Stan Kroenke rumor, the owner of the Rams, like it just doesn't make sense why the Rams would do that. Like how does the Chargers being from a business side of things, a disaster seemingly, how does that help them at all? I mean, obviously, yeah, it means like, okay, LA fans will care about you more, which I think they were always going to, because people might forget that, for most of their existence, or at least during the Super Bowl era for most of their existence, the Rams were an LA team. They were only in St. Louis for 20 years. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, half the 90s, and then a couple up until a few years ago, like they were an LA team. So, I think they were always going to have the better fan base. So I just think this is a rumor that was real, and someone talked about it, and it got leaked, and Dean Spanos tried to sound all like pissed off about it, and try to be very emphatic that it's not true. And and in reality, they should just move to Mexico City.
They should. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yep.
Make it international. I want to expand the sport. So.
Yep.
All right. I'm switching it up. I'm gonna do a little NBA hot take. This isn't that original because I kind of read an article on SB Nation about it today. But I think Markelle Fultz is gonna have a long career in the NBA, even though.
Well, what's long?
Define long?
Yeah.
I'd say like 12 years. So into his like 30s. Like he's not gonna be like LeBron playing in his late 30s.
Career. I mean,
that's a long enough. It's like longer than what people were saying, right?
Being a guard helps.
Yeah, but like he like couldn't really shoot, but now he's like learning how to like take his jump shot, and he's still like more electrifying offense. It only took him 5 games to take the starting job.
8 to 10. Like I would say 10. Like that would be my benchmark for a long career because it's a decade of pro basketball.
Yeah, and I think he could do it. I mean, he's already starting on the Magic now. The Magic aren't that great, but they made the playoffs last year. And
maybe that'll be like what belongs his career is like, hey, bad teams need a Markelle Fultz to fill their starting lineup.
Exactly.
I mean, he's going to be on the Knicks.
That's something in like 2 years when they strike out on Giannis. They'll sign Fultz.
Put it on a calendar on your phone or anywhere you want. Like Markelle Fultz is going to end up on the Knicks at some point in his career. It's exactly how this is supposed to go. Just like Emmanuel Mudiay, just like Dennis Smith and Tim Hardaway.
No way.
They're all
the Magic.
Kind of
he's going to bring the Magic a championship.
They're all just these first-round bust guys who are supposed to be scorers.
He's fine. He's okay. Okay, he's just going to, I guess like you said, I don't think he's going to play on like a terrible team like the Knicks. He's going to play on like a semi-competent team like the Magic or like the Pistons or something.
He could be like a good backup,
and contribute, like as the third best player on the team or something.
And he's just being like at best like a Darren Collison kind of thing, like.
I guess, or like a very injured Derrick Rose.
Yeah, like 30 plus year old Derrick Rose maybe. No, he'll be better. I think Darren Collison's better than that.
Yeah.
Maybe not T-Wolves Derrick Rose because he's been nice. But
this is like Knicks.
Yeah, like he'll be better than that.
Derrick Rose.
But that was just he didn't want to be there. Remember when he cried? You ever see the video where he cried when he got traded there?
No.
Oh, dude.
No one wants to play for Dolan, okay? So
he was like doing a commercial or some like interview or documentary, something, and like as they were filming it, he got notified, and you like watch him just like go walk somewhere, and he's just like crying.
What? That's wild.
His hometown team traded him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, I was like, wow, you did not want to go there, dude. You stuck with Phil Jackson. Oh, man.
But yeah, Fultz is going to have a long career. He's going to do well. I think he's going to put up some good stats. Maybe like an all-star, like once. That's a
decent hot take, I mean, someone
Yeah.
would disagree with you, so I guess if it's something that a good amount of people would disagree with,
Yeah.
I think that's the qualifier for how hot a take can be at minimum.
I mean, yours was good too, because at
Oh,
least what
thanks,
everyone was
man.
saying was
We
London.
should just tell each
But it,
other how good our takes are.
yeah, right? Just like,
We shake
uh,
hands and
yeah, shake hands, do a
that's
little
all
chest
we
bump,
should do.
you
Yeah.
know, do a little Fortnite dance in front of each other.
You're smart.
Uh,
No, you're smart.
oh, we're so cool.
Wow, we're cool
Um,
as hell. Anyway, see you later.
all right, I think that wraps it up for the Snowflake Sports Pod. Please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for Chris for coming on. Any last plugs before we
Hey,
sign
you're
off?
welcome. No, just go out there and be a good person. I guess that's all I could say.
All right, stay true. Be a
Yep.
good person.
See
All
ya.
right, peace.